Guys, welcome to the Dave Barron Show. We got a bunch of people here that joined early. They're all premature ejaculators today. We got Blue, somebody brand new, out of the blue. Blue is on the show today. Good to see you. Terry, we got Richard Groper. We got some other folks here. Who else do we have? A lot of people chatting, so it's scrolling hard to see. But everyone has made comments that my hair is now short. I look like a really clean-cut guy. I look like the type of guy that J-Lo would bring him back a report and just have at me, don't you think? Don't you think I look that good? I think J-Lo would even do me now. I cut my hair specifically for J-Lo. In case I'm in Hollywood, happen to see J-Lo. Hopefully I can bring her J's low to my between my legs. I like to bring her low between there. And you know why people say that? It's because of all the slut stuff that we see on TV. And you know, I got it. Let me start a couple things here. Let me say one thing here. Who has not ever, let me see if I can find this. I had a little funny clip here for you guys before we start tonight's show. And am I going to be able to find it? Yeah. Okay. By the way, do you like my jacket? I made this jacket. I got a collar already. See who this is. Hey, this is Dave Barron on the Dave Barron Show. Who's on the line?
Hey, Dave, this is Richard. I was told to call in by Terry.
Yeah, Richard. So tonight, since we're talking about sex, tonight we're going to refer to you. If you don't mind, I would like to call you Dick. I would like to call you Dick tonight. Let's not call you Richard. Let's call you Dick. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's just fine with me.
Okay. All right. So now, Dick, before we start the show, now let me ask the audience here. I'm going to ask the audience, guys, girls, who has never been to a strip club? Who has never been to a strip club? Guys and girls, and I got a little clip for you guys. Guys and girls, who's never been to a strip club? There we go. We see a face of a guy right now on the screen who's obviously paid for a lap dance. So, Richard, by the way, Dick, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Dick. Have you ever been to a strip club, Dick? Have you been?
Many times. But I only went there to find out how to get away from there. So
really?
That's it. That's my story.
Okay, now we got another caller here. I'm sure it's Terry because I recognize the phone number. But let's talk to Dick for a little bit. Let's figure out what Dick's all about, and then we'll get to Terry. But Terry, give me a little chance to handle Dick here, okay? Not that I want to handle Dick, but let me give Dick a chance, all right? Everyone in their lives should always once in a while, give some Dick a chance, all right? So Dick, sorry to be that gross with you tonight, but I got to ask you, you've been to a strip club only to get out of there? Is that what you said? You went there only because you wanted to get out? What?
Well, I went there. I thought it was a nice place. I saw neon signs, and, well, I guess there was naked ladies. I didn't know that at the time, but when I went in, obviously I saw the proceedings, the stage and the poles and all that stuff and the grease. So I was like, okay, this isn't for me, and I keep getting fooled every single time.
Now, was there only one pole greased there, or were you also greasing your pole at the same time? How many poles were greased at that particular establishment?
I'm not sure. I wasn't there long enough, but there was at least one greased pole, and I saw one lady swinging around, and she.
And what happened?
Sorry, I sneezed.
No, you were laughing.
She flew off the pole at a high rate of speed.
She flew off the pole. Now, was that during the lap dance? She flew off the pole, or she was actually on stage on the pole and flew off the pole? Which pole did she fly off of?
She was on the main stage.
Well, then she flew off the pole. Now, when she flew off the pole, was she hurt? Because I imagine most of those pole dancers are pretty flexible, so they probably fly off a pole. And they're very ambidextrous. They can lean over and touch things that people want touched there for $20 or $30. So, was she hurt when she flew off the pole?
Actually, she landed on me, and then she pressed charges, and so I'm not allowed within 500 feet of that establishment anymore.
So now, okay.
So it's a long story.
All right, so now I got to believe if she flew off the pole, landed in your lap, and now you're not allowed to go into that establishment anymore. This is all more recently because now everyone is offended. So the pole dancer was offended because your lap happened to be there, and because when she landed on your lap, there was a speed bump on your lap. Evidently, there was a speed bump there, right? And that's what offended her.
I think so.
Yep.
And she also said, I think what she said was, "Is it in yet?"
Oh, oh, okay. So now not only did you have a speed bump, you probably had a little bit of one of those construction cones as well. But it was a construction cone that wasn't up to her usual heavy construction. She's more interested in that heavy construction cone in the highway there, right?
Yeah, I don't think she was very impressed. So now I run a workshop for women and sluts. And Terry was very upset with me in the chat, and she was very confrontational, and she said she was going to call in and challenge me. I'm not really sure why she's so upset. I offered her a pamphlet on the workshops I run, and she was very rude to me.
Oh, so you run a workshop on what? How to de-slut your life, or how to re-slut your life after you're de-slutted and you want to get back into the groove of being a slut? What do you do? What's your workshop all about?
I train women on how not to be a slut.
Let's get Terry in here. She's calling in here very impatiently. Terry, are you on the line?
Did not say that.
All right, now, Terry, one of the things you've got to do, Terry, as usual, I said with Art Bell, you've got to lower the volume in the background.
He's lying.
All right, you know what we're going to do?
Oh, I turned it down, yeah.
All right, did you turn it down? Okay.
Hello?
I turned it down, babe.
Okay, so now, wait a second. Before we start here, Richard is going to give you a pamphlet and an education on...
Yes, I know, and I'm going to listen.
Okay, all about sluts. However, I'm going to give you a little sermon on how to turn your radio down before your phone calls into the Dave Darren Show. But
No, Dave, you don't know if you're going to answer the phone or not.
oh, well, that's true. That is true. Okay, so let's get. By the way, Terry, we are referring to Richard as Dick for tonight. So before you give up a wrong name, we have another caller now. By the way, let's bring in a threesome. Okay, do you mind? Let's do a threesome here. Hello, this is Dave Darren. How are you?
Hey, Dave, this is Sparky on the line.
Oh, okay.
But I guess Terry beat me to the punch, so you want me to hold on?
You know what? Well, hopefully everyone will let you talk if I merge the calls in. So let's unless you want to be, do you want to be brief or do you want to talk for a long time? What do you think?
Oh, no, I don't believe in talking for a long time. I think it takes away from people.
Okay, so
I just have some brief comments and just a thought to throw out, that's all.
Okay, so you know what? We'll talk to you right now, and the other people, a couple people, Terry and Richard, can stay on hold. So let's talk to you first, Sparky. What was your opinion about this sex and too much sex on TV? Super Bowl, all over, cars, when I go to see... tell me about it. I see women laying on cars... And some of them are going to dent the cars because their booty is a little bit too big to sit on that roof of the car. So what do you think? Plus I've just waxed the car, so they're going to slide off anyway. So what do you think about sex and commercials and all that? What do you think?
Okay, the bottom line is that's part of our society today. And until we can come up with some good alternatives and talk about it a little bit more, maybe eventually we can start influencing some of these producers. Now, as far as my opinions of the thing, I watched it. I thought on the good side, I thought the sound effects were good. I thought the costumes were beautiful. The women looked great. It reminded me to never stop working out. Okay, that's the positive aspect of it. Oh, and then let me add to that. And it just blew me away how J-Lo could do that pole. I took some pole dancing lessons, and it's not easy. The amount of strength required is incredible. So because I had an interest in that, I enjoyed watching that part. Okay, now let me switch to what I thought was negative. Basically speaking, the whole content was like a porno show. You know, people... Man, just the way they were moving, their legs wide apart, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a very fancy burlesque show. So, I don't know, it's Super Bowl, you have families watching. I'd like to know how parents feel that, have children that are watching this. or do kids just pass it off and don't pay attention? Okay, and so my last point would be, what do we as consumers and viewers, what would we like to see in place of the type of show that was put on that has offended so many people? So basically, that's all my comments. You want to ask me anything?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, let me improvise here. You know,
Okay.
well, we have another caller here, but we'll let that person rock and roll on hold for a second because I want to give you a chance here. So,
I appreciate it because I call in a lot, but I never could get on. So
yeah, I apologize about it. It's a tough show to run when you got one dude doing it. But you know, here's what I got to say. You know, sex is fun. It's enjoyable. Obviously, we enjoy it. We obviously enjoy it. Everyone can acknowledge that. But when you see it on TV constantly, like every commercial, well, maybe not every, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but then we see, I go to car shows, so I look at the inventory that people are selling. If you get on eBay and you look at some of the cars, you see the woman pose in front of it with a G-string and all that. And you know, when I see a car, I want to see the beauty of the car. I don't want to see an ass and tits in front of the car. I want to see the bra of the car, not a bra on the woman. That's what I want to see. So it gets...
I agree with you, Dave, 100%.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. I mean, it's flavored to the fact that it's almost like music. When you saturate the music scene with too much music, it's less appreciated. And that's why I'm doing the music show and going back to it to try to help out the bands that need a little helping hand in doing what they need to be doing, having a work ethic and all that stuff. But they saturate all of their music on all these free distribution sites. When you put too much sex out there, in my opinion, and just my opinion, it kind of makes it boring. In fact, I'm not even interested in the product anymore when I see too much sex. I start thinking these guys they're dangling a carrot, literally a carrot in front of me, and I've got a carrot in my lap when I'm watching some of this stuff, but they're dangling a carrot to buy this product. But you know what? I'm kind of turned off because I want to find out about the product. I don't want to see the sexual connotation. I want to find out about what the product does, how the product's going to help me.
I agree with you 100%.
And you're right about during the Super Bowl, you got families watching it because the guys are heavily into football, but then the kids are around because it's a family event. What do? Do they shut off the TV knowing that J-Lo's going to be on there? And how do they really know if she's going to be dressed appropriately for the children or not? So they're not sure. What do they have to do? Watch it for a little bit? TiVo it, or do they have to record it so that they play it back and watch it and then decide, okay, I got to censor this part away from my kids? How can they figure that out?
Yeah, I don't know, but that was a thought that I had. But I'm always kind of one to look at things that bother us, whether it be this type of a situation or a political situation or what. We tend to complain about stuff as consumers, as citizens, but I very, very seldom ever hear anyone come up with a solution. So that's what I wanted to throw out tonight is, what do people think are solutions to change this trend that seems to be so rampant all over the place?
Okay, and I haven't thought about a solution either. So that's a good idea. Maybe if people call in, they might have ideas of solutions. I don't know. You know, nowadays we got like a lot of. You mentioned that these special effects were really good. Do you think commercials should have more special effects and more sci-fi gadgetry to it, or more things like that, and get away from the sexual skin type and just get into more flashy sci-fi special effects? Would that sell a product? What would really sell the product?
I think so, because the special effects were good in that show. The sound effects were very, very good. The costuming was risque, but from the other side of it, it was all these. The outfits were beautiful. So, I don't know, and I still don't get what that guy was doing in there. That kind of threw me for a loop, but, that's just a whole nother thing. But anyway, I should let you go so you can I know there's a lot of other people that want to call in, and thank you so much for picking up, because I get so frustrated when I can't get through.
Yep, okay, cool. Great to talk to you, and thanks for calling into the show. Cheers.
You're welcome, Dave. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, guys, we're back with the original callers. We got Terry, and we got the other folks on the call. Terry, are you there? And Rich, Dick, are you there? Did I lose them? Let's see. Are you guys still there?
Oh, yeah, I just want to. Oh, good, thank God.
Okay,
Why didn't you answer me when I asked it and hung up?
No. What happened is I got another caller. We got Sparky on the line, so I want to make sure Sparky got some words in because Sparky's been having some challenges calling into the show. Because this show, by the way, this is one guy that has. I don't have a PBX system, if you remember that is. You know, a board with. I'm not a sophisticated radio guy. Maybe someday I'll be, but right now it's a hard thing to try to coordinate the phone calls coming in. A couple people called in. We have one more caller. Let's bring in that threesome right now. Okay, we have a new caller on the show. Yeah, we have a new caller. And
Hey, Dave.
yeah, how's it going? Who is this, by the way?
Hey, this is Kevin Parker.
Kevin, okay, great to talk to you. Now, we got Terry and we got Richard on the line. Terry and Richard, if you can stand by, because you guys call quite often. Let's get Kevin in here because Kevin's a brand new caller to the show. Or I think Kevin's maybe called once before, but let's get Kevin on the call. So, Kevin, what do you think about sex, too much sex all over the place? Is it too much? Are you turned off by it? Are you turned on by it? What do you think? What's your opinion about this?
Well, my thing is that it's not so much what we focus on, but what we choose to focus on. Like let's take the Super Bowl halftime show for instance.
Okay.
Do we choose to throw all of our focus onto the sex and the Super Bowl halftime show, or do we focus just on watching the Super Bowl halftime show, and do we focus on why are we not focusing on, Ric Flair had an excellent Humus commercial, and why are we not focusing on the fact that Snickers' whole commercial, it's where do we shift our focus to in the midst of the chaos is my point. We can take in all of the chaos, but we can't let the chaos take us in.
Well, you know what this alludes to, in fact, if you think about politics or you think about any topic that's on social media that goes viral, it always dwells on the sensational or the negative aspects. Now you can take the sex as being, some people will probably love that. And that was the best part of the Super Bowl, was seeing J-Lo with almost no clothes. But so that's, I guess that's what it, and a lot of guys were probably holding on to their Snickers with two hands watching J-Lo. But this is what I got to say. And I said this to Sparky. It's all, yeah, and I said this to Sparky. It's almost like an oversaturation of sex, where you watch that, and then maybe it's not. Maybe some people watch that, and then that night they were very excited because they saw J-Lo, and finally it's like Married with Children. Finally, Peg Bundy got some because of the Super Bowl, right? Who knows? But to me, it's just that when I see a commercial that dwells on sex. Sometimes I think, you know what, I can go to the local strip club, and I've been to the local strip club. I'm not a clean virgin guy. If I want to see that, I will go where I can see it, and I can enjoy it thoroughly because I'm there to see it. When I'm watching TV, I'm not really there to see it unless I pay for a porn channel. So I necessarily don't really want to see it. I want to, this is another thing. I've done a music show for a long time. I've done a lot of music shows. And I've had a lot of music videos on. And whenever I see the ones that show too much booty constantly, I start to think, these guys are camouflaging their talents by bringing the booty product in there to make it attractive to the male audience. So sometimes when
I get that. I get that.
So I don't like the camouflage. I like to see the products. I want to be interested in the products. And you're right, the Super Bowl is a product, and that little slice of product in between with the halftime show, we can ignore it. Now, Sparky asked the question, so let me ask you, Kevin, to answer this question. Do you have kids, by the way?
I do have one. She's grown.
She's grown, so she's not living home. So or I'm assuming she's not living there, correct?
No, she's not.
Okay, now supposing, do you have grandchildren?
No, not yet.
Okay, now, when she has grandchildren, they become like 5, 6 years old, and you're sitting in front of the Super Bowl, and now it's J-Lo plus more and more J-Lo, so it's less and less clothes. And you're going to have your grandchildren there of like 7 years old. They're going to be watching it with you. Would you hide that from them? Would you say, we're not going to watch the halftime show, we're going to get some pizza, we'll be back for the game? What are you going to do with the grandchildren there?
To be honest with you, I'm gonna let the mother decide. To be honest with you,
Okay, what do you think the mother would decide? What do you think her decision would be?
I would hope that her decision would be to not shelter a child. I wasn't sheltered when I was a child. As much as you gotta stay home. You can't go out because there's a chance you might see this and there's a chance you might see that. No, our parents didn't do that. Even though my dad was a Baptist minister, he still didn't shelter us. Like most ministers do. They shelter their kids and keep them home. We can't have them out there dance. There's a chance they might dance or a chance they might smoke a cigarette. Our parents didn't do that with us. So I'm hoping that she would choose not to shelter the child and let the child filter their own mind.
Okay, now you get some people that are influenced by peer pressure. You get some people that are influenced by what they see on TV. You get some people that are influenced by the amount of sex they see on TV. There's all these, I think Charlie Sheen went to one of them, these sexual addict clinics. And when people get drawn to it and they see sex constantly, sex becomes a very important part of their life. Now, sex is an important part of our lives, and that is true, but it becomes an overwhelming desire and I don't know, when I was a teenager, I had an overwhelming desire to have sex anyway, but what I'm getting at is you start to think of the woman, every woman that you see, in a sexual connotation. You see a woman walking down the street, and the first part of the body that you look at is the first sexual part of that body you're attracted to. So you guys are not on hold. I just want to talk to Kevin for a while.
Sorry.
Then I'm going to get to you guys, and I apologize for putting you guys in the back lot.
Oh, no, it's all good.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, so Kevin, what do you think about that? Like I said, the person that now is driven by watching all this sex, they're on the computer watching porn, and they see a woman walking down the street. It's like a long time ago when I was in Philadelphia and I was a teenager. The construction workers used to always whistle at the girl going down the street and make remarks. What do you think about that? Doesn't watching an overwhelming amount of it and being exposed to it so often create a sexual attitude in your mind that you're going to check out every chick that goes down the street and consider them?
Well, I guess it could with some folks, but I guess I really don't have an answer for that as far as everybody, because I know it didn't for me. And I can say look at a magazine, or I can look at a movie that's got a woman in very little clothes or even no clothes, and not lust, so to speak. And my wife is sitting right here beside me, and she knows that I can look at a picture of another woman. I don't ever think about anybody in a sexual way other than her. But I can't say that the next guy, and I know that there are sex addicts, like you mentioned, Charlie Sheen and other folks that I could probably think and name a few, but I can't say, and there may not be a good answer for those kind of folks except to do what Charlie Sheen did, but. And so I guess I'm kind of like Sparky when she was talking a while ago. I guess I would kind of like to hear some other folks that maybe had some answers too.
Okay, one more question for you, Kevin. Then I got the other guys on the line who have been very patient with me, so I appreciate that. Sparky was asking a question. She said, you got commercials on TV, you got things that are driven by sex sells. Do you have any idea of what you would like to see in a commercial to try to bring a little less sex to the advertisement? What would make a commercial more entertaining to you specifically? Do you have anything in mind? Like, this is kind of a tough question to answer, but what do you think?
Well, I'm more geared toward sports entertainment. Okay. I'm more geared toward things like wrestling. I'm geared toward things like boxing, geared toward things like MMA. I don't particularly care for the MMA like I do the wrestling because I'm geared more toward fighting and wrestling, but the entertainment part of it. So I guess that's why seeing Ric Flair in that Super Bowl commercial for Sabra hummus that was just off the chart for me because I'm like, hey, I know that guy, and that made that commercial just jump out at me because he's somebody that I know and I've known for years and years, and I grew up with the guy. So I would have to say a lot more sports entertainment for me are things I want to see.
Okay. Well, cool, Kevin. I appreciate you calling into the show. Please call again. Please listen as often as you can. I appreciate you as a listener, a viewer, and thanks so much. Okay, Kevin? Have a good night.
Thanks,
Dave. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now I'm going to get to Kevin and Terry, but let me tell you guys something. The type of commercial I like, if you remember this, during the Olympics, a long time ago, they had that commercial. Now, see, I was attracted to it because they played the Rocky theme behind it, but you may not remember this commercial. They had they had the Clydesdale horses. It was a Budweiser commercial.
I remember that.
And now one horse didn't quite make the Clydesdale. He was like pretty good, but he didn't make it. So all his buddy horses are then pulling the Clydesdale, the big Budweiser commercial. Then they had the dog training the Clydesdale horse. And then you heard the Rocky music behind it. The dog is pulling on a rope with the horse. And I thought that was entertaining. It was fun. Now I happen to like animals a lot, and I'm from Philadelphia, so I was drawn to that commercial. But I think even if I wasn't really a Philadelphia guy, and I wasn't really listening to Rocky music, just the creativity. I like creativity. That's what I like. Here we go. I nailed it. To me, tit and ass on a commercial is not creative. For me, creativity is a lot more than tit and ass. And that's what I got to say. We got another caller, but let me ask this caller in Illinois to please call back so I can get to my two callers who are politely hanging on. So let me get to them. And please call up, and I would say in 10 minutes, the call from Illinois. Please call back. I would love to take your call, okay? So I'm going to write down the area code too. But let me get to Terry and Richard. So now I'm calling Richard instead of Dick. I'm being more polite now since I'm getting more serious with tonight's show. One of you guys, ladies first. Terry, what's your opinion about sex in commercials? Too much? Is it okay? Do you think Kevin was right? People should control themselves, know how to control themselves, and be able to survive all this sexual advertisement on TV. What's your opinion of that?
I believe that if they had more music, and like you said, something to distract you, an animal, to attract your attention to whatever it is they are trying to sell. I would like that, David. I don't like sex on television. I don't. That's why I'm not into soap operas and stuff like that. I like sex in my bed.
Okay. All right. How about Richard? What do you think? You're a guy. I'm a guy. I got to tell you, if I was single, I'd be probably a guy that would be very drawn to. I'm a pretty honest guy. When I was single in my 20s and stuff like that, I used to go to specific bars where I knew I'd have a great chance to pick someone up at a specific bar. I knew if I went to the Keg Bar, I remember the name of the bar. If I went to the Keg Bar in Delaware, I could probably get lucky 60% of the time. If I went to Royal Exchange in Delaware, because I lived in Delaware for a while, I knew I'd have about a 70% chance there. So sometimes I would go there more, and I would go to the Keg Bar because I knew I'd have a better shot there. And I used to look like a pretty good-looking guy. I don't look bad now, but I wouldn't be able to be at the success level I had then. Richard, your male perspective, the slut monger you are, what is your opinion?
I was listening to Terry, and I find it hard to believe that she's not a slut. And with all due respect, you are talking about sex in your bed. That's disgusting and degenerate, and that's everything that's wrong with this country. What say you, Terry? And also, I thought I was speaking to Gilbert Gottfried there for a second. Is that you,
right.
Gilbert?
Yeah, what say you, Terry? Well, I say I'm a woman. Dudes can talk about food with slept with. You can talk about who you slept with if you like. But I also have someone whom I like to sleep with. I have every right to say it just as Dave does. And I've been to a strip club. I went when I was 18. The drinking age was to 18. Yes, my friend California. Oh my God, I know I am a degenerate. You can call me what you like, but yeah, I was 18 years old. He said, let's go into the strip. That's what it's called, the strip. And we beer. And I said, okay, Arthur, let's do it. And we went in, I had a few beers, and I thought they were disgusting, these women. I mean,
Are you hearing yourself?
Now, let me.
Are you hearing yourself now?
Am I hearing myself? I know exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
You live a filthy lifestyle, Terry.
All right, let me fill in a blank here. Richard said that sex in the bed is nasty. So here's an idea for you guys that agree with Richard that sex in the bed.
Where do you have sex?
Well,
if you don't have it in a bed.
Well, here, Terry, I got a solution for you. Since Richard thinks that sex in the bed is dirty, make sure you get one of those. You can get a variety now of kitchen and bathroom sinks. So if you have sex in the sink with the water running, it's going to be very clean. You could have sex and wash up at that very same moment. It's going to be very clean.
I've had sex in a bathtub too.
Well, that's tough.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry, Richard. Now I'm your friend. I love you. I wouldn't. I'm telling you the truth. Dave could say it, and you wouldn't say, "Oh my God."
Well,
why am I
okay.
a degenerate and he's not?
Terry, now I would hope if you had sex in your bed, in the marital bed, I hope you're married for God's sake. Now it's
my
only
husband
acceptable.
passed away.
Oh well, then. I'm sorry
that
to hear
was 20 years ago. I have a friend now. I'm not going to get married again.
Oh my God, Terry! You better be using a sheet with a little hole cut out in it. Otherwise,
I love him.
No,
I love my friend.
Well, you know what?
But you need to marry Terry.
Let me.
What if you became pregnant, Terry?
Okay, guys, how about this? You know, I usually do shows that are crazy, they're whack, I would tell you guys while I'm listening to you guys, I got a tissue here, I'm grabbing a tissue because I'm getting excited, but you know what? Let's be a little more, let's be a little more serious about tonight's topic. You know, I could do a crazy Howard Stern show, I could stick the wig on even if I wanted to, but let's ask some questions of you guys. So, Richard, let me start with Richard, so we can shut Richard up first, so he gets less comedy and more interest in the topic. Richard, when you have, I think you're married, Richard, aren't you? Right, Richard? I think you.
I don't think so.
I thought last time I talked to you, said you were married.
I could be. I think so.
You think so? Okay, so Richard thinks he's married. And I'm assuming that Richard's wife wishes she thought differently than that. But nevertheless, Richard, do you have kids? Do you have kids?
I think so.
Oh, you think so? Okay, so Richard is one of these guys that does not want to come out in the open and say yes or no. Richard, you'd make a great politician, but he thinks so. So, Richard, if you think your kid was in front of the TV watching J-Lo, and if it was a male child or a female child, would you react differently? Because a male child, some people think, the guy thinks, here's my son. When I was 16 years old, I was horny, I was excited. My son's watching J-Lo on TV. Why not let him watch J-Lo on TV? Because I was cool with watching J-Lo type of stuff on TV. It's a dude, the guy's going to go out, he's going to get laid. This is my son, I'm proud of him for wanting to get laid. If you had a daughter there in front of the TV, would you react differently? What do you think, Richard? Son or daughter, would you react differently with your imaginary children because you don't want to say if you have kids or not? What would you do? Differently for male or female child?
Differently for sure. If it was a boy, I would say, yeah, get that fine piece of ass. And if it was my daughter, I would say, oh my God, shield your eyes.
Huh.
Don't look at that slut.
Interesting. Now, okay, one more question for Richard and Terry. I appreciate you standing by. Here's another question for you, Richard. Okay, you've got a son. Son goes out. He's got the Rocky shirt on. He's got the pants that fold down. You can see his ass cheeks on the pants that are falling down. You got your daughter there who's dressing like they do now. And I'm not going to say the word, but they dress pretty wild. They dress showing a lot of flesh. You got your son. You got your daughter. Would you put dress characteristics on one or both of them? What would you do as far as the dressing of your kids?
I think children should be properly dressed.
How about when they get?
So yeah, any skin showing would be too much.
Okay, now you see a lot of kids out there with skin showing at the age of 12 or 13. Is that an appropriate age for your daughter to go out dressed 12 or 13 like J-Lo or like any of the celebrities that they want to mimic and act like and look like and gain the respect of people because they think respect is the less clothes you wear, the more respect you got. So your child at age 12 or 13 that's very rebellious, she wouldn't like you telling them how to get out of the house dressed like that. She would rebel. She'd be angry at her father for telling her, I'm old enough, I'm 12, 13 years old. All my friends are dressing like this. Dad, why can't I? You're over-possessive. You don't have to protect me. What do you tell your daughter then?
I would tell her that I would disown her if she ever went out in public and embarrassed me like that, and she would be out of the house.
Huh. Okay. Terry, what do you think about those couple questions? You have...
Well, I think they were good questions. I can't understand why Richard feels that way. Richard, watching a show like Dave's, most of us have a very open mind to different situations. You mean to tell me you would
your mind
very good?
You need to shut your legs though too.
Okay,
Open mind, lids shut.
Okay, Richard.
Listen, my husband died 20 years ago.
All right, so
20 years ago. Should I keep them shut until I'm not going to get remarried.
Hey, Richard, notice that we gave you some time here, so let's give Terry some time as well. So, Terry, what did you think of Richard's responses? You thought that they were a little bit strange because of the open-minded...
I thought they were very chauvinistic. I didn't think they were very fair. The little boy can do watch it, but the little girl can't. Come on, be serious. Are you kidding me? With today's youth, and you would kick your daughter out of the house if she dressed in a way that you didn't approve of? I wouldn't kick my daughter out of the house and she spit in my face. I wouldn't kick anybody out of the house.
No sluts. That's false.
You know, your home must be a fun place to live.
It doesn't have sluts in it.
All right, so let me. I'm curious about this. You know, I don't. My wife and I, we don't have any kids. Actually, I make jokes about it. I said we did have kids. We sold them, one on Craigslist and one on eBay, and we bought a DeLorean. But not all joking aside, if you know, sometimes I walk around because I'm walking our dog, and we walk our dog in a neighborhood. There's a school in a neighborhood, and sometimes I see the girls there. The girls there, age 12 or 13, dress very provocatively. And then I start to think about the boys that go to that school. They're seeing these women, and they're getting, you know, their hormones are they're going crazy. Their testosterone in their body, they're insanely out of their minds. They probably have a hard time blowing their nose and having just snot coming out of their nose. They probably have that buildup. So now when they see these hot-looking 13 and 14-year-old girls dress like that, how can they control themselves? And then a lot of the young girls nowadays watching sex on TV and all that stuff that they see about sex, and they're interested in it now. You got to admit that they're interested in experimenting, and they're dressed like they're ready to experiment. The boys are there ready to experiment. What do you really think, Terry, about what Richard said about dressing more appropriately? And now he went the complete realm of hostility where he says he's going to kick her out. But supposing, what do you think about that reality that the girls are really seducing the heck out of these 13 or 14-year-old boys who are seeing them as sexual objects because they were seeing sexual objects on TV and they want to dress like that? Terry, aren't they making objects of themselves a little bit? Don't you think?
Oh, I do think. I do think. Well, as a mother, if I were the mom, like you and your wife, David, my husband and I did not have children. And that was by choice for me. I did not want children. And neither did he. But to call me a slut, I was a virgin until I was 21 years old. I wouldn't call me a slut.
Well, remember, we're taking the
Do
comic.
you have papers on that, Terry?
Well, remember.
Pardon me?
I would like to see documentation on that.
I can't prove it, but and Arthur died.
Okay. All right, now you know what?
Arthur was my first love. I mean, he was 18 years older than I was.
Well, you know what? We did say that tonight. We did say that Richard called Terry a slut, and hopefully in a joking fashion, like the Dave Darren Show typically is. Okay, but now, okay, so now let's try to refrain from the massive amount of joking that I usually do. And now, Terry, this is interesting because I lived in Japan for a long time. You guys know that. In Japan, when you watch commercials, now it's a more conservative country. It's less Westernly influenced, although now the Western way of living is very much into the Japanese lifestyle. But whenever we saw a commercial on TV and there was music that was played in the commercial, whether it was mandated by law or not, they actually put the artist of the piece of music on the TV's commercial. So when you heard a piece of music, you would know who that artist is. So it was almost like promoting the music of that band along with the commercial. And I happen to like music a whole lot. So I thought that was really, really pretty cool. And so I like the fact that when I see a commercial, if I hear music behind it, I'm more interested in the commercial. For instance, the Geico commercials. I thought the Geico commercials with the caveman, I thought they were funny and creative commercials with music in the background. I liked the commercials. They were creative. When I see a commercial, like I said, with tit and ass in it, I think here's a way that they're trying to make Dave Darren watch the commercial, buy the product because there's got a hot chick there that's making him watch the commercial. And even if they think Dave Darren may not buy the product, at least Dave Darren is going to remember the commercial, remember the product affiliation, and he may buy the product, forgetting about what seduced him to watching the commercial. He may forget what drove him to the commercial or the product, but he'll be willing to buy the product because the product is in his mind subliminally. So that's what I think. I think it's a cheating way to get me to watch a commercial. Richard, what do you think? Do you like what do you think about commercials? What do you want in a commercial that attracts your interest in buying a product, to answer Sparky's question?
I want to see curvy women, scantily clad, selling me any product.
Really?
And I think that's fair. As long as they're of age, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you're allowed to be a slut. There's a difference. There's a difference.
And so I am under the wrong impression that when I see a commercial with women bending over and showing a booty, and I should not be thinking about that sexually. I should be thinking about that as artistic, and I should be okay with that commercial, right? Richard, that's what you think that's fair. They're not
yes,
sluts.
If they're selling you Clorox bleach and there's some hot piece of ass on her hands and knees, barking like a dog, that's fine. I'm focused on the bleach. I'm focused on the product.
That sounds a little gross to me. I'm sorry.
How about if
you know what, Terry? We know about your lifestyle. I wouldn't really be chiming in at this moment if that was you.
Jesus Christ, you little bastard.
Richard, how about if they're meowing like a cat and not barking like a woman? Which commercial would you rather see? The barking like a dog or meowing like a cat?
I would go with the barking of the dog because I think that's a little bit more degrading. I mean, I think that's fair. What do you think?
So now, Richard, it's funny that we were talking about commercials and we said that a woman dressed like that is not necessarily a slut, but you like the commercial because it's degrading. So that's kind of a confusing scenario there. You don't like the slut aspect of it, but you definitely want to see degrading when you're watching a commercial. That's what you said, right? I didn't take the words out of your mouth. That's what you said.
Sounds like you don't
Yes,
like
that's
women.
exactly right.
Yeah, Richard, do you like women? Do you?
Do you
I
like
don't
women?
like sluts. I don't like sluts.
Then what do you call just a virgin? Just so my husband died 20 years ago, and I can't have a friend. Is that it, Rick?
A gentleman caller that sleeps in your bed in a carnal way? Absolutely.
For Christ's sake, I'm 64 years old.
Oh my God, your
64 years old.
husband is rolling in his grave right now, thinking about you doing the
He's
dance.
rolling the he's rolling over me. So,
I bet he is.
you want a poor thing to say, huh, Rich? So
Rich-
you don't like women. You're degrading to women. The way you talk about them, I'd slap your face if you were in front of me.
You know, I've heard that before, Jerry.
So Richard,
I've heard that before. It's not the first time for me, Jerry. It's not the first time.
so now
You know, that's really cute. I walk women like dogs.
What?
all right. So now it's funny because I said Richard that likes women being degraded on the commercials, and he also wants to degrade my show. So that's pretty interesting. Who do we have on here? I think one of you guys hung up. Who's still here?
I'm here.
Okay, I think Richard hung up. We got rid of Richard somehow. I didn't do it, by the way, but we got
Oh,
rid of
you
Richard.
think, Richard?
No, it looks like he's gone. It's only you now on the call. So if we,
Well, I'm very good, but I think he was very degrading.
you know,
to women.
he wasn't taking tonight's show seriously, and I was hoping to get a little bit of seriousness out of a Tonight Show. So if anyone wants to call seriously
He
on this
does
topic,
joke a lot.
yeah, it's 480-236-2111, 480-236-2111. So, you know, I got to say this. Like, I got some comments in chat today about this very topic. So we had Laura. I'm not going to give out Laura's last name. But I was talking, the topic tonight is sex on every ad, Super Bowl commercials, etc. And Laura, like I said, I'm not giving her last name. She can call in tonight because I thought she was interested in calling in. The time to call in would be now because we just have Terry on the line. 480-236-2111. But she said, she says, LOL, laughing out loud, sex has been used to sell music for a very long time now. So people need to stop clutching their pearls about this halftime show. She thinks people are going on a little bit too long about this, dwelling on the halftime show. She says people are allowed to like sex and have it, and that doesn't make it less valuable by any means. So now I didn't say it makes it less valuable. What I said is when you see it too much, you become desensitized. Perhaps, you know, people play video games. They play the. I remember I used to play this video game a long time ago. I had an Atari 2400 when I was a lot younger. I don't play video games at all. But there was this one.
What did we play? Space Invaders.
Yeah, there was Space Invaders. But there's one game I played. It was I forget what it was called, but you had a car.
The little yellow thing.
No, you would actually bump into another car and knock them off the side of the road, and they would crash and burn, and then you would knock another car off. You were able to jump.
I know which one you mean.
I forget the name.
I don't know the name of it.
Right, but I played that, and then if I thought to myself, you know, if I get in the car right now, I'm going to probably drive like that because you become a little bit desensitized. So people talk about that all the time. You watch TV, you watch the news. You see all these killings, all these lootings, all of this, and you kind of become, before it was a shock to see that. Of course, it's been a long time ago since it was a shock to see that, but the shock becomes more normalized. You're no longer shocked by that situation. It becomes something that's so predominant that nothing shocks you anymore. So, whereas we have, she says people are allowed to like sex and have it, and it doesn't make it less valuable. What I said is it kind of makes it desensitized. She continues on and she says the only reason there is any kind of value on sex is rooted in sexism. And you don't see those ideas pushed onto boys like they are with girls. So, you know, the sexism again. You know, I'm sick and tired of people being offended. I'm sick and tired, and now I'm saying perhaps people were offended by seeing J-Lo, and that's what tonight's topic is about. They're offended by seeing J-Lo. What I'm saying is when I see something on TV, a commercial, and I'm seeing pure sex in the commercial or sexual additive to it, to me, it distracts from the product. To me, that's what I'm saying. So, Terry, did you watch?
Yeah.
Did you watch the Super Bowl? By the way, did you watch it?
No, no. My nephew was there, and I was getting information from him.
Okay, so now, sex on TV. You said you're not interested in. You don't like it. You don't enjoy it. Yet you're okay with sex in general, and obviously we've said that, and you're okay with that. So,
But I want him to know I only have one lover. That's it.
you know, well,
Right now, I mean,
yeah.
in 20 years, the same one. I mean, but I stuck the condom and my husband, that's 3 men. I'm 64 years old, David.
Okay.
How many women did you sleep with?
Oh my God, I don't want to be like. You ever watch this show?
Exactly. You're a whore just like my brother.
Well, you ever watch the show Cheers with Sam Malone? And I think he was.
Yes.
I think. What was his first girlfriend's name in that? What was her name?
Oh, what was her name?
It wasn't Rebecca. It was the one before that.
No. Yep.
Whatever it was, she asked Sam. She says, "How many girls have you been with?" And he started with. He said he was going to say like 200, but then he said 2 honeys. He changed it. He changed 100 into honeys. So it was. So it was.
I remember.
So I don't know. Guys are a little bit different because, for instance, I'll tell you guys, my brother happens to be gay. And it's funny because when my father looks at me and the sexual activity I had when I was younger, I actually think that my father was relatively proud of the son that he raised. There was a masculine man interested in the female sexuality. And when he looked at my brother, he's kind of turned off of my brother because my brother is with other guys. And I don't judge my brother. If my brother wants to be like that, that's fine. I don't know if he's a slut with other guys. I have no idea, but he's decided that path in life. Do I think it's right or wrong? I really don't. It's just what he prefers. So I think
that's right. I mean, nobody can. Nothing burns me more than when somebody says, "You can't be gay. You can heal yourself." Well, for Christ's sake, leave them alone. It's their business.
Yeah.
You know, who I sleep with is my business. Who you sleep with, Dave, is your business. And who Rich sleeps with is his business. But, and who your brother sleeps with is his goddamn business.
Right.
And I know what you mean about your dad. I have a gay friend. I know what you mean about your dad. I have many gay friends. I used to go and watch them in the gay clubs. They were female impersonators. And you talk about funny. They were dirty, filthy. I mean, the dirty jokes.
Right.
I thought they were good, you know. But I love them. Yeah. Carl, Jesus. He just died.
Yeah, but now, you know, one thing I got to say is when, like, I see people on TV or wherever they're advertised, like you see things where they're, like, kind of preaching. I don't like to be preached at. I don't like to be preached about politics. I don't like to be preached about religion. And the show that we did a couple of weeks ago, or this earlier last week, we were almost, like, preached about religion. So that was an interesting show that I did there. So I don't like to be preached about religion. I don't like to be preached by people saying, you know, coming to me and preaching about their gayness. If you're gay, that's fine. I think it's a situation that you've got, that I've got to obviously tolerate, and I will tolerate, and because I don't see anything wrong with it at all. But I don't want to have people constantly in my face telling me you've got to accept us, because I do. I think most people do accept them. Now, maybe there's a group of people that don't accept them, so I guess they're preaching to those people to say, look, you've got to accept me like Dave accepts me. Maybe that's the idea, but still, it's like too much of this acceptance thing where I don't know, maybe I shouldn't react that way, but I feel that way, like it's too much preaching. You
Supposing somebody said to you, why are you wearing that leather jacket with those, what do you call those, tacks in it? Are they tacks?
Yeah, I guess bling. We'll call them bling. I've got bling on my jacket.
Okay, bling.
Right.
Why are you wearing that jacket with bling on it? Are you gay?
No, I like it though. I obviously I didn't wear the. Oh, see, I'm wearing the jacket because I forgot the rings tonight. But
Yeah.
honestly,
But supposing somebody did say to you, why are you wearing that jacket?
and I say,
It looks gay.
and I would say, well,
I know you're not gay,
Right.
but you look gay in that jacket.
and I would say because I happen to like this jacket. I like this dressing. I like the way I like to dress like this. If you
David makes you look like a fag. You know what I would do with that jacket? I send it to Joey Doherty.
I
Because
was,
she'd wear it.
you send it to who?
Joey Doherty.
Oh, I'd send it to you.
I'm joking, David.
Okay, but you know,
No,
actually,
really, I'd love to have it, but
you know, actually,
Um,
I actually took this jacket and I meticulously decorated it on my own because I happen to like wacky fashions, and if they make me
well,
look,
no, I've seen jackets like that
yeah, but
many times
usually
with
on,
bikers.
yeah, like well,
You know, they have some good stuff on them.
okay, so now you know if someone came to me and they said, Dave, you look gay in that jacket, I would not say, well, I dress like this because I'm a biker to make it a masculine look. I would just say,
No.
I would just say I dress like this because I like it. Whether you like it or not, or whether you identify me as a certain, you know, I'm confident enough in myself to have anyone say that whatever they feel like. When I had the long hair, if they said, Dave, you got long hair, you look like a hip. It's funny because my wife said it makes me look older, and it makes me look like I'm a poor dude with the long hair like that. And she said
But you look really good. That's what I have as my screensaver with your long hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not the short hair one. Yeah,
Oh, what do
not yet anyway.
do you like me better with the long hair or the short hair? What do you like better?
I don't know. I have a picture on my screen, and I love it. I like your long hair, I guess.
Huh, wow, okay.
But I like your short hair.
Yeah, well, you know, me looking at it now, I think I like myself better with the short hair. I look younger. My wife is right. She
You
says,
do look younger, David.
Yeah.
You really do.
yeah, so I think it's a better look like this. But, like, I'm confident enough in who I am to wear whatever I feel like wearing. Like,
And you should be. And
Yeah.
we all should be.
yeah, like,
You know,
go ahead.
go ahead, David.
No, like I said, a couple nights ago, when I did a show after I had the religious person on, I wore one of my crosses. And I remember, I think it was Lilith commented about my crosses. She said, now, are you
Yeah,
becoming a
I
religious?
remember.
Yeah, she said, are you becoming this religious guy now? And I said, you know what? I happen to like crosses. I like that white one I got because it's a ceramic cross. It looks pretty cool. It looks good contrast with either the darker color shirts I wear. So I happen to, whatever I wear, I'm comfortable. Whatever anyone thinks about what I wear or what I drive or how I talk, I don't care. It's me. I'm not going to camouflage who I am. So I don't know.
You're so much alike, Dave. I am the female Dave Garrett. I'm telling you. Although I wasn't a whore like you and my brother.
Right.
My brother once told me they'd fuck a hole in the floor if you didn't have a girlfriend.
Yeah, well, here's something funny. I will say this, and this is probably going to make some people turned off about who David Darren is, but it's funny. I lived in Las Vegas for a while. Some of you guys know I used to be a blackjack dealer in Las Vegas when I went to college at UNLV. I was a college student, but I dealt blackjack during the day, and I went to night school. I actually went to the sheriff's office, and I signed up to get a sheriff's license to be a male gigolo, all right? So,
No, sir.
yes, and a long time ago, of course, there's no cell phones, there were no pagers, so they called my apartment. They said I had a date for the evening. So I thought, okay, it's going to be kind of cool. I can have sex and get paid for it, right? I'm a gigolo. So I drove there. I drove my Trans Am there, the same one I still got in the garage. I drove it there, and the woman looked like Jan Brewer. Now, I'm sure you don't know who Jan Brewer is. She used to be the governor of Arizona a long time ago. Arizona, we have constant sunshine, so she looked like a prune. Jan Brewer, all wrinkly skin, dark, looks like a mess. The woman looked like a mess. And the only thing that happened is, I as soon as I saw her, as impolite as it was, I literally ran out of there, jumped in the Trans Am, and drove off. Now, my Trans Am a long time ago had 200 horsepower. I think her running after my car, I think her legs had 199 horsepower, because I was only above her by 1 horsepower. I was only above her by 1 horsepower, and she actually looked like a horse, and that's why I left. But there's a story about Dave Darren being a gigolo for one day, and after that I quit because I thought, oh my God.
Something, huh?
Yeah, how about that?
You really were.
Yes, for one day I was. Yes, I guess technically I was probably for 4 days, because it took them a few days to process me, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I was a male gigolo slut for a week.
Well, I was a whore twice,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
And then I got married.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, there we go. There's the story about Dave Darren and his sexual prime of decadence. But there we go. So, it's funny. A lot of people, they apologize. They get on shows and they apologize. I don't apologize, because whatever you say, the first thing that you say is the reality of what's in your mind. Anyone that apologizes is camouflaging what they said initially, which was the truth. So I never apologize for anything I say. I may retract it and say, look, I made a mistake. Here's what I think now. But at that time, I thought that. That's what I won't apologize. I'll just say now my thinking has changed. But what I said before, I stand behind what I said before, because that's what I thought before. That's what I believed before. Going forward, I changed my perspective. Here's where I am now. But I don't apologize for anything that I said before. Do you apologize, Terry?
No, neither do I.
Yeah.
No, I've never apologized for who I am. I like who I am, and I always have.
Uh-huh.
I always have.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. We're the same. Okay, well, we got a bunch of callers tonight. We got Kevin. We got Sparky was our first caller. I thank Sparky for calling.
I missed Sparky. I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, well, you can play the show back. And well, actually, Sparky said, what would... And I asked Kevin this, and I think you didn't give an answer. What would you like to see commercial-wise on TV? What attracts you? I think you said music attracts you, right?
Music and animals.
Okay, music,
And
animals.
of course, I saw one commercial, did. I didn't know what the commercial was for. And
Yeah.
I saw a few things. I do not know what that commercial was for. I want to know what the product is. If it has to be in the cat or the dog's mouth, it's fine with me. But come on, Dave, when you don't know what the product is, I actually did not know what the product was.
And that happens.
But I love music.
That happens a lot. You'll watch a commercial now, and what they'll try to do is capture your interest, because it's funny, when I do a music show, I actually had a music producer on my show a long time ago when I kind of started out. And he said that a piece of music has to attract your attention, I think he said within 9 seconds. In that 9 seconds, your song is going to get turned off and go to the next song, or you're going to attract their attention in that 9 seconds and they'll listen longer. You have a better shot of selling your music if you get past that 9 seconds. So now commercials they are ones of humor or shock or sex to drag your attention into that commercial. So it's funny, a lot of commercials now, there's so much humor until you get to the last seconds of the commercial. We have another caller now. Let's bring the caller in. Hello, we have another caller now. Who's on the line?
Sparky again.
Okay.
Contribution. And what it is I was looking to see if anybody could come up with some alternative ideas. And my alternative idea, which I did mention because I didn't want to pre-program anybody, is there are shows like America Has Talent. And there are amazing, amazing acts that you see on that show. And to me, that would be a place where some of these producers could tap in for a really, really awesome halftime show. So that's all I wanted to contribute.
Wow, oh, that was Sparky, by the way. Terry's on the line, and that was
Oh,
Sparky.
that was Sparky?
Yeah, that was Sparky here.
For Christ's sake, you could have said, oh, Terry, Sparky's on the line. I could have said, hi, Hi, Sparky. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, but I just want to.
Hi, honey. It's nice to hear your voice. It's nice to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much, but I just wanted to contribute that as to what do people think about possibly these producers pulling on the pool of amazing, amazing talent that is shown on, as an example, America Has Talent. You know, maybe something like that can really open the door for some really awesome, and let me use the word, more wholesome halftime shows. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to contribute that, okay?
Okay,
And
cool.
nice to talk to you, Terry.
Okay, talk to you later.
It's nice to talk to you too, Sparky. Honest to God.
Cool.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm going to hang up so somebody else has a chance to call in.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Well, I like to go out with Dave, so I'm not going to hang up till he tells me to hang up.
Okay, well,
Okay, bye-bye.
I'm going to hang along.
you know that was a cool comment, because I think Sparky's right. When I used to watch America's Got Talent, I used to watch it when Howard Stern was on it, because Howard used to be on America's Got Talent.
I remember that.
And Howard was a funny guy.
I saw Howard Stern on that.
Right, and he tuned it down where. Oh, we got some background noise, Terry. Oh, you still there, Terry? I hear background noise again, so shut the volume off.
If you cut me off, I'll really be pissed.
No, okay, so you cut back the background noise. Okay, so it's funny, America's Got Talent, I used to watch it when Stern was on it, because I happen to think that guy is very creative. A lot of people think that he's a dirty guy, but he's a very creative guy. And when he was on America's Got Talent, because it was on a syndicated program and a network channel, he had to tune down that type of wacky humor. So then the creativity of him came out more than the adult type of humor. So he was very creative on that show. And the acts, obviously, were extremely creative. Sparky's right. And it would be interesting to try to mix creative creative content based upon the creativity of, it's funny, of normal people. And this is what made Howard Stern's show creative. He used to bring people on that were not celebrities. He would bring people, and this was a lot to do with game shows as well. If you remember some of the game shows, Gong Show, for instance, with the guy that went to my same high school, Chuck Barris. Chuck Barris used to bring people on. Yeah, Chuck Barris used to bring people on that were not known celebrities, just anyone off the street performing their talent or their lack of talent, and they got gonged or got an award. There was all these shows like that, where people's individual creativity becomes the market, the interest.
The funniest thing was the unknown comic.
Yeah, I remember.
With the paper bag over his head.
Yeah, when he took the paper
Yeah,
bag.
I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Wow, well, you know what? Next show I do, I'm going to have a paper bag over my head, okay?
And then do you remember when he said he's going to unveil the unknown comic, and he took the bag off, and it was another bag?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was so funny.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
don't know why it just... I remember my mother laughing at it. She said, "Oh, that's funny." I said, "Grandma, that's funny."
Yeah, I remember that
It
one.
was
I
funny
remember that.
stuff.
Yeah, it was. So, you know, Sparky's right. We should have more individual creativity, maybe of people that are relatively unknowns, but they're very creative. They can add their creative juices into the commercial to spark the interest. I think there could be a mix of that. Because if you think about it, the commercials that I liked happened to be the one with the horse and the dog. Obviously, there it wasn't Lassie, but it was. What my point is that creativity sparks my interest. Actually, humor sparks my interest too. So some of the commercials today, that are humorous, I like the humorous commercials. They catch my attention. The one thing that I do now is whenever I watch TV, I never watch live TV. I record it so I can get right through all of the commercials, because in all reality, I don't want to see any commercials. I just want to enjoy the program. If the commercials got more creative, maybe I would watch the commercials for the creativity, but they're not sparking my interest. Do you like old commercials? Because for a while, when I was doing my radio show, when I was doing the paranormal show, I would introduce some of the old commercials, like for Coca-Cola, some of the old
Oh,
commercials.
you knew what they were about. They were the gum.
Yeah.
You know, the devilment. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it was clear what the commercial was about.
Yep.
And everybody would sing the song, devilment, you know, remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's get some of the comments here. Jason says halftime show should be about football, nothing else. That's interesting. So
That's a good idea.
yeah, and you know what?
Perhaps that's a very good idea.
Yeah, and usual football is that. During the halftime shows, you get the recap of what's going on during that particular football game, or you get football games that are not being aired on that particular station. You get the highlights of other games. Baseball's the same way. Well, baseball doesn't have a halftime. So, but I get the point. Jason says halftime show should be about football. There we go, and nothing else. Let's see what else.
I agree.
Mary says can't have enough confidence in their music, but they don't need sex to sell it. Or she says can't they have enough confidence in their music without sex being part of it? Okay. Let's see if I can read any other stuff here. Mary says sex sells, but our kids are watching. So what impact does that have on them?
A lot. It has a big impact. I saw, you know, I taught at Harvard, and I had 18, 19, 20, even up to 26-year-olds in my classes. Now, these kids, I knew what the trend was because I was always into music days and always going to a club on a Friday or Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so these kids followed every damn trend. And these are supposed to be the brains of the world, Harvard students, and some of them couldn't even spell. I mean, I can spell, Dave. I just hit the wrong letters.
Okay.
I can spell. Yeah.
Let me end the show with John's comment here. John says, "What about what about the Michael J. Fox commercial where he has to get Diet Pepsi for supermodels?" So I never saw that commercial to really talk about.
I didn't either.
But if he's buying Diet Pepsi for supermodels, are the supermodels, how are they dressed? Are they dressed sexually, or what's the scoop with that? I never saw the commercial. Don't know it. But that's all I got for tonight.
I never saw that either.
Yep. So that's all I got for tonight, Terry. I got to thank my callers. Let's
Okay,
thank Sparky,
I'll
Kevin.
talk to you.
Yep. So we'll thank Sparky and Kevin. We had Richard on the phone. And who else did we have on? Did I miss people? I don't know. Terry. Okay. So thank you. Yep. So thank you. Yep. Okay. That's all I got for tonight. See you guys some other night. Maybe tomorrow night. Who knows? Whenever I get the inspiration to do shows, that's when I do them. So cheers, guys. I will talk to you again later on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, no, cheers.
Do you know the Dave Darren Show?
Hot enough to boil a monkey's bum.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Are you a puffed up?
He used to be on terrestrial radio, but he got fired.
It's over. Don't you think it's over?
I'll spit.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Here comes the boss fella now.
Dave Darren.